Hi everyone, today I'll be going through the Methodist Girls' School's end of year P4 exam for both the MCQ and the open-ended section. So over here, let's go through the first question. Okay. When a pufferfish is frightened, it will become bigger as shown below to defend itself. Okay, so can you see this is trying to respond to certain changes in the environment. Okay, therefore it becomes bigger in size. So over here, this shows that a pufferfish is a living thing because it can respond to changes. It's a characteristic of living thing. Some of you may think that it is grow. That's actually not grow. If it's grow, right, it is more likely that the picture show you this. Okay, in a picture show you this. That means either the fish become longer or larger in length. Okay, this one over here, some of you may argue because it's larger, but it's not. It's larger because of the way that the animal can do it appear larger, and they only do this when they are frightened. If not, they will always be in this in this size, which is on the left hand side. Okay, the chart below shows how some living thing can be grouped, and we have mammals as well as white. So we take a look at this. This part over here is actually showing a mole. Okay, at a very microscopic level. As well, over here this is showing you a mushroom. Okay, so both of them, they are very common. They have a common characteristic is that both of them, they reproduce by spores. They feed on living thing that is one dead or alive. So this one over here is actually your fungi. Okay, so let's move on. Question 3 show a life cycle of plant, and you need to say what is W. So W over here is that it's actually a seed. The seed, when it give it water, oxygen, and warmth, it will become a seedlings or young plant. And after that, they will develop into an adult plant. Okay, so this one answer is number 2. Okay, but to go on elaborate a little bit further, the difference between these two is that the adult plants will have fruits or flower, but the young plant does not, because the adult plants, they can reproduce. That's why they will have fruits and flower. Because after fruits and flower, you will have develops seed, and seed will belong to this part, and the whole cycle completes again. Which organ system is shown in the diagram? So over here, you see this will be your windpipe, as well as over here they're showing you lungs, and in between these branches over here, they're actually your air sac. Okay, they actually helps in increasing the amount of gas exchange the lungs can do, as well as over here, this is probably your nose. Some of you may argue that this is your mouth, which is indeed true, but in this, right, you can see that most of the organ that is trying to show you, right, is actually part of the respiratory system, which is number 4. So it cannot be the digestive, and it is not here as well. Okay, so this is actually a respiratory systems. And which of the following function of which of the following is the function of a leaf on a plant? The only function that is tagged to the leaf of the plant will be your make food, and it needs to be able to trap light to make food, and it's being done by the leaf. So number 1 is the answer. 2 and 4 is trying to say the function of roots, while this is trying to say a function of a stem. Okay. So A, B, C, D are various stages in the life cycle of a male worm. So male worm itself has 4 stages in its life cycle, and the first stage will probably be your egg, and followed by your larva, which A is trying to show you. C is your pupa. B is your adult stage, because you can see that the 6 legs, probably 3 body parts. This one, 3 body parts, and that is a very characteristics of features of an adult that you can see. So if you see this, right, how do you really arrange them and navigate which one is the correct option? So you see the first one is definitely your egg. Okay, then we go by A, then we go by C, then we go by B. After B, right, you'll come back to D. Okay, so if you see this, right, you can evaluate one by one. You can go from number 1, D, A, C, B. then naturally one will be your answer. The rest should be wrong. Okay, and you have to take note of where the arrow is pointing as well. Okay, the arrows that is the way that it's pointing, it is also something that you have to take note on when you're writing or when you're choosing the selecting the correct option. So this is number one. So over here you have a very complicated questions where you have the different function of different organ in a human digestive systems, and they tell you digestion takes place, absorb water from undigested food, absorb digested food into the bloodstream, and they gave you W, Y, X and Z. You notice that W and Y is the same. So they probably do digestion, but they don't absorb anything. So Y, X and Z, right? So sorry, X and Z, right? They done some form of absorption. So X and Z, right, must be your intestine. Okay, but you just don't know whether is it large or small. So let's evaluate this further. Okay, so over here, the large intestine will be your X. Large intestine. Okay, and your Z will probably be your small intestine. Okay, and then you have W and Y, which is either your mouth or your stomach. Okay, but you do not know which is which because you are not given additional information. Normally, if you are not given extra information, right, and you don't know which one is which, right, you can just group them in this manner. Okay, probably you don't need to know which one is which to be able to answer this question. So you take a look, which of the following graph shows the correct organ label X, W, X, Y, and Z. So the amount of undigested food leaving each part. Okay, so and you have 4 graphs. There are different letters with different height of the bar, and you probably know that it's easier for you to do this question if you know which one have the lowest bar. Okay, so we can start with the lowest bar first. Okay, for the lowest bar, it will probably be your X and Z. Okay, why? Because the amount of undigested food leaving, right, will be the least amount. Over here, this should be the least as well. So I'm trying to say that they will have the same amount. Because digestion, right, over here, this part, they ends here. Digestion, okay, let me use this. Digestion ends here. So whatever food that can be digested already been digested, so you will leave with the remaining food that is undigested, and that will be the least amount. And when it goes to the large intestine, right, because there is no digestion, so whatever amount of undigested food leaving the small intestine will be equal, okay, will be equal to large intestine, because after this there is no more digestion anymore. Okay, so you will see them having the same bar, and they should be the shortest out of the 4 of them. So that means X and Z will be the shortest bar. So you take a look. Okay, I'll go with X being the shortest bar first. So take a look, X, 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 X. Which one has shortest bar? This one. The rest of them, they have the highest. So naturally the answer is number 4. It cannot be 1, 2, and 3. And you see that they have the same. Okay, so this one is small intestine, this one is large intestine, and obviously W and Y, right, one of them will be your mouth and stomach. This is your mouth. Okay, because you have more undigested food leaving W than Y, so Y must be your stomach. Okay, because there will be less digestion in the mouth as compared to the stomach. The stomach will have more digestion, so you will have a lot less undigested food, leaving the part. Okay, so this part the answer is 4. This is a very hard question to evaluate because you need to know the function of the organ very well, okay, in order to evaluate whether the amount of undigested food within each organ. Okay, go with the one that you are at least the most familiar, or the one that is at the end, which is the large one and the small one, intestine itself. Okay, because they will usually have the least amount, right? Then from there it's easier for you to look at and evaluate at. Okay, so the number is 4. Okay, so let's move on to question number 8. So the part of the seedlings will have 3 parts: the leaf, the stems, as well as the roots. Okay, so you just have to go through the flow chart. Does it make food for the plant? If it's yes, then it must be the leaf. If it's no, then it must be the stems and the roots, these 2 parts. Then between these two, X must be your roots, Y must be your stem. So you take a look, these 2 matches, then X will be your roots, this one is no, so the answer naturally will be number 2. Okay. The table below shows some characteristics of P, Q, and R. Okay, so you have pupa stage in its life cycle, 3-stage life cycle. The young look like the adult. The young molt several times as it grows. Okay, so usually for life cycle, right, most of the time, right, most of the animal that you need to know is insect, and they are not insect. Okay, these 2 you can classify them into these 2 main groups. Okay, so let's take a look how are the characteristics help you to determine whether they are insect or not insect. So if they have a pupa stage and 3-stage life cycle, right, these 2 usually is if this is yes, then this must be no. Okay, because if it have a pupa stage, that means it must have a 4-stage in its life cycle, then naturally this will be no. So you take a look at P. If it has a pupa stage, right, that means it is a 4-stage life cycle. Okay, then this is no itself, and this must be an insect. Okay, so you evaluate P first. You see that all these animals actually can be fall under P, because all of them has pupa, all of them has 4-stage life cycle. They do not have 3-stage. The young, they do not look like adult. The young also molt a few times. Okay, as they grow. Okay, so all these can be correct. So now it's Q and R. So Q, right, it has 3-stage life cycle as well as R, then no pupa stage. So this information is more or less kind of they are giving you the same information. So both of them, they are 3-stage life cycle. Okay, but you take a look, the young does not look like adult. They don't move. So it's trying to tell you this is not an insect. Not insect. Okay, for this, the young look like adult and they molt a few times, right? This is an insect. So it gives you some form of clue, or it helps you to stream down which one is the correct answer. So naturally, this 2 is not correct. It must be a 4. So just between R, right, then you have to choose between 3 and 4. 3 is correct, because this one is bird. Because the answer over here, it must be insect. So whenever you see this, the young look like adult, it's trying to tell you that it's a 3-stage life cycle, and the organism is an insect, because it's trying to tell you that it has a nymph stage. Nymph will look like adult. That's number 1. Number 2, when it molts, right, it's trying to tell you that this thing has or at least the outer covering has a exoskeleton. Because exoskeleton, they themselves are inflexible, and as the insect grow larger, it needs to be removed in order for insect to grow. That's why they molt. Okay? So all these clues actually tell you that R is an insect. So the answer over here is number 3. This part over here is the one that is usually a little bit harder because you have to look at the graph carefully. So all of this information, right, is trying to tell you the number of days the organism spend in each stage. And you see larva, pupa, and you see that they all have an adult stage, and all of each stage, right, have some days that the organism spend in. So this must be a 4-stage life cycle and must be insect. So these are the two information that can establish. Based on the graph, which one is the following statement? So number 1 is wrong because over here it is showing you the number of days the eggs takes to hatch. It doesn't tell you whether there is more eggs or less eggs hatched in the as compared between the two organisms. As well as number 3 is wrong. It doesn't make sense. Because over here you can't tell that whether is it they live in water or land. Even if it's true, you can't tell it from the graph. So 1 and 3 is wrong. So now, right, you just have to evaluate between 2 and 4. Y has a shorter life cycle than X. So in order to know how is it shorter, whether is it longer or shorter, right, you compare the days the organism spend in egg, larva, and pupa only. Okay? Usually these 3 stages, because when it reaches adult, right, it could be that the first stage already lay eggs, or at the first day already lay eggs, or at the second day or the third day, you really don't know. Then how would you be able to know the number of days to complete the whole life cycle? You don't know. So that's why you only calculate this 3 part. So there's a way to calculate it. So I'll use red color for X, blue color for Y. So over here, this part, I will use a ruler, I'll match it. So this is about 3, this is about 10, this should be about 2. This is about 2. So over here, we just take 3 plus 10 plus 2 is equal about 15. So if we take Y, then it will be 14. Is it here? Oh, this should be 6. Okay, I think the question isn't point very correctly. This is 6. This looks like a 3. So this is 14. Okay, so 14 plus 6 plus 3, so about 23. So naturally you can see Y has more days because 23 is greater than 15. So Y has more days, or spend more days, or has a longer life cycle than X itself. So this is wrong. So the answer can be number 4. Okay, so over here, let's take a look. Why is it 4? Okay, let me erase this part. Okay, so you just have to compare this and this. So spend more days as a larva than pupa. More days as larva. It is indeed more. And for the this is for X. Okay, we should be using red more because the bar is higher. Then for Y, I'll just use this. Okay, for Y, I'll just use this. The bar is higher. So both organisms will spend more days in the larva than in the pupa stage. So answer must be number 4, okay, which is correct. Which of the material can be attracted by magnet? Okay, must be steel because the steel is a magnetic material that can be attracted by the magnet. These 3, right, they are non-magnetic material. That means it will not be attracted by magnet, or neither it will become a magnet itself. Okay, so this is number 1. So for this, the diagram shows below 3 magnet X, Y, and Z. So you take a look at the situation. When S was placed near you, they move away. So it's trying to tell you repel. Okay, when X was placed near Z, they move towards. So they're trying to tell you attract towards and away. So naturally, right, actually this you can start to assign letters, which is the North Pole or the South Pole. So I'll use this, the red color. So let's say this is repel. I put North, then this must be North. Then in this case, right, the other end will be South, because this must be a magnet, so the other end must be South. So and you take a look at this information can be matched. U can match to here, S can match to here, which is T. Okay, so if I were to do this, here will be North, and here will be South. And if South attract, then this must be Q, must be North again. Okay, then the other side one must be your South. Okay, then you just have to match the information, okay, between each statement. Okay, so P repel R. P is S. P is S, repel R. R is S. S repel S, correct, because they are like poles. U attract R. U is North. Attract R, which is South, and P, which is also South. Okay, this is correct because they are like poles, they will attract each other. So you take a look at C, R, which is South, attract T, which is also South. Then this part you straight away know is wrong because they should repel instead of attract. But if you evaluate the second part, Q, it is North. Then you find that actually this part is correct, but this part is wrong. Because the first part is wrong, it makes the entire statement a wrong statement. So the answer must be number 3. A and B is correct. So number 3 is correct on this part. Then the diagram show a hammer, okay, and it's pointing to the hammer head. Okay, metal is used to make the hammer head because metal is what? Okay, does it because it can reflect light? No, it's not because it can reflect light. You are trying to use this metal as the hammer head, right? Is because of the purpose. The purpose is to either you try to break things, break something. Okay, so over here, in order for you to break something, it must be strong enough to do it. Okay, so you take a look. It must be number 2. It not because it does not absorb water, although it does not absorb water, but this is not the case. Can bend without breaking. This is trying to tell you that it is flexible. Which is not the case. It is metal itself. It is inflexible. Okay, so this one is trying to tell you that it does not break easily because it is strong, and this is the property that we want to use it as a hammer head, because we want it to be strong to be able to break something. Okay, so let's move on to this part. Study a setup below. P and Q have a volume of 500 each. P pumps containing water and air are connected to the container as shown below. So over here, you have 500 centimeter cube. Okay, so originally you will have 350 centimeter cube of air. Okay, let me write it. Centimeter cube of air. This one is also 350 centimeter cube of air. So when a plunger are pushed in completely, 50 cm cube of water as well as 50 cm cube of air is forced into P and Q respectively. What is the volume of P and Q after plunger are pushed in completely? So after plunger push in completely, right, you probably land at here. So you are trying to find out the volume within the container itself. So over here, right, when you push in the water, right, the water will occupy this amount of space. Okay, and this will add up to 200 centimeter cube. So whatever that is remaining, right, will be 300 centimeter cube of air. And this is because the air will be compressed to occupy the remaining space within the container itself. As for Q, right, even though you pump in 50 centimeter of air, it will not become 400. No, it will still remain as 350 because the air can be compressed again. All the air can be compressed to occupy the remaining space in the container. Okay, so for this question, you have to take note what is the remaining space in a container. Okay, the remaining space is 350. So even if you pump in 400 centimeter cube of air, it will just be compressed to 300 centimeter cube of that space, and that will be the amount of space the air occupied. So Q is 350, P is 300. This will be 2. This will be 2. Okay. So which of the following property is true for air and pencil? Hey, they can be seen. No, you cannot see air because air is a gas. Okay, air is a gas, or it exists as a gas in a state of matter and cannot be seen. Okay, they take up space. Yes, both of them, they will take up space. Even though the air cannot be seen, it still take up space. Okay, answer is 2. It is not this. It has a fixed shape. Pencil, yes. Pencil has a fixed shape, but not air. Fixed volume, pencil, yes. Not air. Okay, because air is a gas. Gas has no fixed shape, no fixed volume. So Sarah conduct experiment to find out how the number of coil of wire around a steel nail would affect the strength of the magnetized nail. Okay. So basically, you want to find out the magnetic strength of the nail when it is being turned into electromagnet. So you take a look at this other information. So as you can see, the number of coil around the steel nail, right, increases. What happened? The number of paper clip attracted, it increases. So more paper clip attracted means greater magnetic strength. But there's a catch. You take a look, this part. After some time, right, this part over here remain the same. Okay, so it's at when it reaches 60 coils and above, and it remains the same. So it probably tells us that the magnetic strength, right, remain constant. The magnetic strength remain constant on this part. That's why it did not increase the amount of paper clip attracted. So based on this result, what can be concluded? So you have to look at the statement, which one can apply here. As the number of coils around the steel nail increases, the magnetic strength of the electromagnet decreases. No, this one definitely no, because as you can see, this one increased, then it remain the same. So this one is a wrong statement. So let's evaluate the next portion. After 60 of coils of wire, the number of coils around the nail will not increase the strength of magnetic nail. Will not increase the strength of the magnetized nail. This is correct because after 60, right? Let me highlight this. After 60, right? This part remain constant. So it shows you that the magnetic strength of the nail, right, did not increase anymore. So it will not increase. So this part is actually correct. No paperclip will be attracted when a coil around the steel is less than 24. You can't tell that because you never test 23, 22. You don't know, you got no result for this. For this coils, so you can't tell, cannot tell. It may be when you are doing 22, 23, it may attract less than 12, maybe 10 or 11. You don't know. If you never test, you don't know, you can't conclude. So that's the case. So this is a case where it is not possible to tell because you did not test. So the only conclusion that you can make is B, which is number 2. Okay, as for the reason why this part become 22, it's actually quite interesting. It could be that there is no space for the paper clip to be attracted anymore. So that's why it remains at 22. Okay, not enough space. It could be that if you use a larger nail that has more space, you might see the number goes up to 24, 25, right, when you increase the number of coils. Okay, so for this part, it's just more about how you look at the result, what kind of conclusion that you can make. Okay, let's move on to the next part. Okay, we may conduct experiment using a setup below. So we have a beaker of water, and is this material below. So she recorded the time taken for the water to boil when 3 material was placed below the beaker of water, and the material made of same size, same thickness. This is trying to tell you that it's trying to ensure a fair test because they don't want thickness and the size to affect the rate of heat gain by the material. So you get 3 material, they tell you poor, very good, and good. And you probably know that this is the best and this is the poorest conductor of heat. But the amount of time they take to boil the water when you start seeing bubbles. Okay. They took the same amount of time. So you see different conductors, but they took the same amount of time. It probably tells you something. After completing the experiment, she realized she did not record the volume of the water in the beaker. So the volume of water is not the same. Naturally, if you got less water, it will boil faster. More water boils slower. Okay? Because it's just that the mass of the water, if you have more mass of the water, you need more heat to be able to reach to the boiling point or when you start to see the bubbles. Okay, based on the result, which one of the following is most likely shows the volume of water used in each beaker? So if you use the best, you expect that this should be the shortest time, but it was not the case. Okay, but it was not the case. So it must tell you that it has the most water. Okay, so if you use the poorest but you took the same amount of time to reach as the other material, this must tell you have the least water. So I'm going to put this poorest. Okay, poorest over here, you have the least water. Conductor of heat, you got the least water. Okay, for T, you have the best, you have the most water. Okay, so if you take a look at this, it's only 100, 200, 300. So this one must be 300, then this one must be 100, and this one must be somewhere in the middle because U is the one that's in the middle. Okay, so if you want to look at the explanation, this is how the explanation can be crafted if you are being asked to explain. Material T was the best, so allowed the water to gain heat the fastest and reach the boiling point, which is the stage where you start to see the bubbles at the same time as others, even though it has the most amount of water. So for least water, right, is material S was the poorest, so the water gained heat the slowest, causing it to reach the boiling point at the same time as the others, even though it has the least amount of water. So this will be how the explanation can be crafted if you are being asked in an open-ended setting. So over here, Arjun had a glass marbles as shown below. He was provided a flask of water and a measuring cylinder together with a ruler. Using only the apparatus, which of them cannot be measured? Cannot. Okay, the answer is mass. Okay, if you want to measure mass, you have to use a weighing scale, or sometimes we call it a mass balance. okay, but you don't see that. You can measure length with the ruler. Okay, you just put it here, you measure, you can get the length or the diameter of the glass marble. Volume, yes, you can put the water over here, then the marbles will be at the bottom, then you will be able to measure how much the water rise when you put in the marbles. So these two, yes. Ability to float on sink, definitely yes. When you put the marbles in, right, you probably it probably sinks, so you probably can measure this, or you are able to tell this as well. So the number is 1. Okay, this one is part that is a little bit tricky. Okay, so when Chandra placed one left finger in Y and one right finger in Z, right, after the second he placed both of them in beaker A, which is at 30 degrees at the same time. How would she feel for each finger when he placed in beaker A? So let's take a look at left finger. So left finger, right, normally when you put it at 5 degrees, your finger would have, the temperature would have already decreased to a lower temperature because your finger lose heat to the cold water. So when you put it here, your finger already, it is colder. When you put it in the 30 degrees, you will feel warmer. It's the other way around. Because your temperature, why you feel warmer? Because your temperature is increasing. You're moving from cold water to hot water. So this one is either 1 or 4. Then with that in mind, right, if you place your right finger in a cold water, in a hot water, your temperature would have increased, and this finger will be way warmer. Okay, but when you put it in the temperature that is lower, because this temperature is lower, right? Temperature is lower than 55 degrees Celsius. So your finger that is already hotter, you put it in, right, actually you will feel colder because your temperature decreases, because you went from 55 all the way to 30 degrees Celsius. So your right finger will feel colder while your left finger will feel warmer. So the answer is number 1 over here. This is actually a very, very tricky question. Which one of the following is not a heat source? Not a heat source. The sun definitely is lighted, but it definitely is. This one over here is this. It's a wool cap. Is the wool itself is a poor conductor, but it itself is not a heat source because it doesn't provide you heat. Okay, so answer is number 3. Candle flame, yes, definitely. Okay. So bad notice the track are built with small gaps in between. Okay, most of you know that these gaps is allowed space for expansion during a hot day, and you will probably see that in the MRT track as well. And there is they tell you that there is some width being measured. Which of the following correctly explain what happened to the width of the gap as the day become colder? When the day become colder, the track will lose heat and contract. Okay, then because when they contract, the volume or the length will decrease, and because of it, the width will definitely increase. So this is number 1. Okay, so Bala placed a cylinder under the lamp as shown. The cylinder was then moved to 3 different positions A, B, C in the room. Okay, he recorded his observation. Okay, this is a slightly very different question. Okay, if you have a cylinder placed directly under the lamp, right, the shadow here will always be the shortest. Okay, so if I were to move this cylinder, this same cylinder, right, over here, okay, you can take it as the length of the shadow is this. Okay, if I were to put this here, right, over here, and I'm going to do it the actual measurement, right, this will be the length of the shadow. You can see the length of the shadow is a lot more longer than, or at least longer than this. Okay, if I were to compare them, then this must be shorter. Okay, so the closer you are under the lamp, right, the shorter it is. The further you are away from the lamp, the longer it is. So over here, this one is the shortest, right? So this one is for closer to lamp. This one is furthest away from lamp. So you just have to take a look which one is the furthest. B should be the furthest, right? Then this must be wrong. Okay, this one maybe yes, maybe. Okay, this one definitely wrong because it's directly underneath. So it's either you are looking between 2 and 4. So now you evaluate. So if I were to draw a line, right? Draw a line in the middle. A is the shortest. Okay, A is the shortest. Yes, correct. C, in this case for number 2, right, it seems that C is more or less the same as B, which is not the case because over here B and C, the size of shadow is different. So B cannot be at the same distance as C. It cannot be. B and C cannot be at the same distance away from lamp. So this is wrong. Over here, B is the furthest, C is somewhat nearer as compared to B. So number 4 is the more accurate answer over here. Okay, so now let's move on to this part. So Ali has 4 cardboard of different shape and sizes, and you can see that between these 4 shape, right, this one is the smallest and this one is the largest. Then if I want to put them in numbers, right, this one is the smallest, this one is small, followed by D will be larger. So this one will be the second smallest, this one will be the third smallest, and fourth will be the largest. So I put this number for a reason. So he placed 4 cardboard in front of the light source such that their shadow were of the same height. So they are trying to tell you the shadow now they are of the same height. So it seems like the size of the object doesn't matter anymore. Okay, it must be that the distance between the light source must be playing a role or factor. So if you see the smallest one has the same shadow as the largest object, so it means that this one must be the one that is the nearest to light source. This one must be the furthest to light source in order for them to have the same shadow size. So you take a look, which one B must be nearer and C must be further. So this one definitely out because A is the nearest. This one possible, this one possible, this one definitely out. So you left with 2 and 3. So then another one is C must be furthest. Okay, this one is correct. And you see C is D is the one that's furthest, so this one is wrong. So the answer is 3. Okay, the answer is 3 because over here this one is the smallest object, this one should be the largest object. Okay, let's move on to this part. So a factory used a light sensor to count the number of bottle drinks passed through point X on a conveyor belt, which is this. The bottles are made of metal, so they are opaque. So the amount of light detected, right, should be 0. So that means on the graph it should look something like this, directly over here. Okay, so which one of the following graph shows how the amount of light detected by the light sensor change when two of them pass through point X? So if you see this is the amount before the bottle pass through point X, right? There is some light that already detected. So at first it cannot be 0. At first cannot be 0. There must be some light detected. So you take a look. At first is 0. At first is 0, I straight away wrong. At first, at this time, this is 0, straight away wrong. Okay. Then this one, the line is over here. It start from here. Then between 3 and 4, right, which one is the correct answer? Because over here you know that there's one object, there's two objects. Okay, this one for number 1 is the metal bottle reach here. Then after that there's a gap in between. Okay, this gap in between represents this part. This part over here. Okay, actually the answer is number 4. Okay, the only difference is whether it reached 0 or it did not reach 0. Metal is opaque, so it will block all the light from passing through. Okay, metal will block all the light, so there will be no light detected. So the amount of light detected will be 0 units. So this one will be the correct one because the amount of light reaches 0. Okay, so answer is number 4. Okay, 3 is wrong. Okay,